www.offthecorner.net. I'm Rallo, and you are watching the Fact Project. And FACT is an acronym that stands for Fundamental African Centered Thought. The goal here on the Fact Project is to convey some facts and some information to members of our community. I normally start by doing announcements. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on announcements today because we want to get right into the subject, which is the history of Conscious Rap Part 2. We have joining us author, educator, activist, and someone that participated in hip-hop culture all his life, Brother Ajay Tayemba. Peace, Brother Ajay. Thank you for joining us today, brother.
Peace, good brother. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well, yes. I want to give a shout out to our brother Eric J. He's slated to join us today too because he has a lot of in-depth knowledge as it relates to hip-hop culture and rap on record. And I think, Brother Ajay, it's very unique that we've been around from the beginning of rap on record to now. And so, we would have the kind of, we would be able to put things in context, which is basically what I'm trying to do as it relates to the series that I'm doing, the history of conscious rap. I'm probably going to make it a 4-part series. But Brother Ajay, you know that music with the right lyrics has the power to impact your consciousness, your thinking. It can increase your consciousness. And the rap we listened to years ago was more positive versus the rap that we have now. The rap that we had years ago was not always this ghetto, trashy, violent thing that overglorified materialism. And people kind of do it just to get money. So what is your opinion on the state of rap music on the commercial level? Because all rap is not bad, but what is your opinion on this commercial rap that seems to be very pervasive?
Well, man, it's a heck of a question right there. That can go a lot of ways. First of all, let me thank you, brother, for having your platform where you spread knowledge itself and consciousness and culture and politics to our people in a world where we're inundated by fools, thugs, and incompetence. It's very important that we have that type of voice. And I'm glad to be here again. Well, the music, people look at art, and music is art in the various ways. Some people say that it influences life. Some people say life influences the art, and I would probably say both. Hip hop is no different. Hip hop kind of, in many ways, is a microcosm. It mirrors some of the larger politics, the larger issues, the beauty and the ugliness of our people, of its creators. And so, as you did a really wonderful job in part 1 of the this piece on conscious rap, in kind of outlining the types of themes and motifs that the music was hitting on: Black solidarity, Black pride, working together, having our own things, not worshiping white ideals and values. All that was coming through, but that wasn't coming through in a vacuum. Taking nothing away from the brothers and sisters, it was coming through because there was a national movement that predated it. And as a matter of fact, hip hop kind of emerges right on the tail end as it is dying out of the Black Power movement and the Black arts and consciousness movements. So these movements are telling, and they're particularly hitting young people. That's the other thing. These were not adult-led movements. These were youth-led movements, teenagers and the early 20-somethings. And they're talking about reconfiguring how we look at the world. What is truth? Who decides what is true? What is beautiful? Who decides that? Why are we trying to integrate into a nation that oppresses us? Why aren't we building our own nation? So naturally, the hip-hop generation probably would be the younger brothers and sisters of the people that was very active in the Black Power movement. So they're hearing all those things. They're going to Black Panther Party meetings, Republican New Africa meetings, right? They're watching certain films. They're hearing about Fred Hampton and what happened to Brother Malcolm. And they're deeply influenced by that. And so it would make sense that a lot of the themes you're going to hear in the early hip hop, remember, because it's closer to the Black Power and Black arts movement. That's a very important connection to make. You're going to hear a lot of those themes coming up in that music. Now, today, what national Black movement do we have other than vote for Kamala Harris?
Right.
What movement we got other than a bunch of sisters shaking it up on Twitter and TikTok? What movement we got? So today, in the absence of a real powerful, compelling political movement that unites black people and gives us a direction, anything, a lot of foolishness will can take its place. So yeah, white people have always been trying to pimp us and make us look uh derogatory and negative and low. But when we had consciousness and we were clear on certain political principles, regardless of what they were doing, we were moving in a certain direction. Today, it reminds me of an X Clan line, bro. You said the power of music. I'm gonna tell people I've been a teacher for more than 30 years, and there's a line that X Clan said. I think in my senior year of college, one line, two lines. He says, "I see children of originals doomed to
Mm,
lose." I'm gonna repeat that. I see children of originals doomed to lose. Teachers and preachers remain confused. Talking about African true black ways, talking revolution, but they out to entertain. Ignorance that grab you by your crackhead neck, take you back to Egypt where you learn respect.
mm,
Now, see, there's a lot in that, but what he's saying is sad. He's saying, "Damn, I see the offspring, the descendants of the original people of this planet, who brought math and law and science and art to the world, destined to lose."
mm.
That's powerful. And I would. This is what I would do my push-ups to it, and I would play that over and over. And that one little piece made me say, man, if I ever become a teacher, I'm gonna make sure we not doing the lose, because that was like, I mean, imagine if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, man, Brother Rollo, you good, man? You smart. You this your forefathers must have fought well smart, but everything that's coming forward is gonna lose." Wouldn't
Mm.
that hit you like, damn? That's a hell
Absolutely.
of a statement to make. Doomed to lose. So if you look at the time we're in now, what's the priorities? Get in the bag, materialism, vulgar materialism, um, great disrespect of people who put their lives on the line and did real work and wasn't off somewhere in the corner talking about it, but doing real work. I'm in a group online, and this sister, elder, told me that some young sister had the nerve to say Malcolm X didn't do it for black people.
Mm, mm,
Like what? For you to fix your mouth, you didn't do a fingernail worth of what that man did for you. The irreverence. So all of this is taking place because there's no strong, visible central leadership. We have a bunch of wannabes, frauds, jealous types, critics, but you don't see that. It's like scattered today. You see it in pockets in different communities and cliques, but you don't see that coming in a central focus the way you see it in a movement. So yeah, it makes sense to hip hop. We talk about ASS and other stuff, and let's shaking for the TikTok and a bunch of foolishness. Let's keep the white man rich, spend all our money on the white man's products. Of course, that's what they want. We have no central movement that's telling people otherwise. And on top of it, in that void, you know what it says? If the cat's away, the mice will play. And in
yeah.
this case, the mice is the foolish, the weak, the ignorant, and the people that are actual agents for white supremacy, whether they know it or not.
Now, brother Jay, on in that context, what do you think the impact of this negative rap that we're hearing now? What is that impact of that going to be 20 years from now, 30 years from now, on the people that are 15, 16, 20 years old listening to that music? What is the effect of that going to be years from now?
Man, that's a good question. And you know what? I could also look at that on what the effect is right now and on what it is then. But just think about it. I've heard so many songs that were describing a particular sexual act, very violent though, done upon a sister, right? Now, the brothers and sisters are rocking to that, vibing to that. to rape music. That essentially is talking about raping sisters, and sisters are vibing to that. What's the effect of that? Well, now you got sisters that with the Me Too movement, we could criticize it, but sisters stand up saying, "Yo, misogyny is wrong, violence against women is wrong." How does that movement get sabotaged and undermined by a group of people who are vibing to actual music condoning and playing out rape against black women,
Mm,
including black women? Think about it. So what it kind of does is it neutralizes it. It's going to sabotage movements to say, sisters, be more aware of what's going on. Speak out, brothers. Support them in speaking out. Brothers, be protective of sisters. Why am I going to protect something I don't see as wrong?
exactly.
So to go back, a brother named Nathan McCall wrote a book called "Makes Me Want to Holler" back in the day, kind of like an updated "Man Child in the Promised Land" type book. He talks about this issue of trains, right? And I remember people talking about, yeah, but we're gonna go. You should come. We're gonna run a train. And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. So I went to the black man I trusted who gave knowledge and wisdom, my dad. I said, Dad, what's when they say running the train? What's that mean? He grabbed me up so fast. He pushed me. He said, "What? What you
Mm,
asking about trains for?" Huh? I said, "I don't. What's going on?" He explained it's gang rape. So if you have a culture that's normalizing egregious acts like that against the sisters, it's going to make it seem like that's cool. And what if those dudes didn't have a dad like me or a black man they could go to who would tell them the truth? So today that's waning. You still got brothers going to kick young people, but today the older culture is just like the young culture. They're in the same clubs, we're in the same clothes. I mean, so we're in a bad way. So this means if you extend this to the future, you're going to see it worse. In my generation, the parents and the kids had a clear distinction. Parents was not listening to your music. Parents was not dressing like you. The parents was not feeling your language. We didn't like it, but it had its place. What happens when the parent and kids are doing the exact smoking the same weed, drinking the same liquor in the same clubs, looking the same, they got the same objectives, the same things, turn them, get energize them. That means no one now who's in the critical position to be critical is going to be critical because they're doing the same shit. They like to say, so who's going to say, yo, that's not cool? We
exactly.
making the liquor company rich, and how's it making us look, and our brains, and how we acting, and what type of image is that projected? Nobody's going to say it because they're all participating. So the future means, unless there's a radical movement, educationally, culturally, politically, that what you see today that you don't like, times it by 100. And that's what you're going to see. And you can let your mind run wild with that. Fortunately, we got brothers like you. I'm assuming the brother that I see in the background there, that's on with us, myself, and many people around the country that are trying to create alternative ways of looking at ourselves and saying, I know you think you're a bitch in a hole. I know that's what you think of yourself, but that is a lie.
Mm,
I know you think the only thing you could do is look good and shake your ass, but that's a lie. I know you think the only thing you was put here to do is be a pleasure instrument and a pleasure seeker, but guess what? That's a lie. If we have, fortunately, we have people creating alternative narratives so that people know, nah, man, we were put here to be much more than that, but
mm,
we was deceived because our minds was trapped.
that's right.
Big Daddy Kane, see? So it's really, so what you're doing is a very big part in preventing that sort of future from happening.
That was actually Rakim from Follow the Leader. You said,
Rakim, thank you.
yeah, Daddy Kane. Either way, we have
Abusing the
joining us.
Godfather.
Yes, we're gonna come to that today. We have joining us musician, DJ, and someone also that participated in hip hop culture from the very beginning. Joining us, brother Eric J. Peace, brother Eric J. Thank you for being on with us today, brother.
Peace to y'all. How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing well.
Peace.
We're talking about the state of commercial rap music and the impact that it has now and the possible impact it has is going to have in the future. What is your opinion on where commercial rap is now? There's still a lot of good rap out, but the rap that's being promoted in the mainstream is very pervasive. It's very negative. It promotes materialism. It glorifies drug use, alcohol and substance abuse, violence, and so forth. What is Eric J's opinion about this commercial rap music that's running rampant right now?
Well, I saw the change in the late '80s. Uh, Once the corporations got involved, because they understood that this medium that's called hip hop is it reaches all youth in a way that schools don't reach all youth, and it uplifted. And at the time, like when you were talking about the conscious rap and whatnot, most rappers were talking about things to do to better yourself and uplift yourself. And once the corporation seen that's the way it was going, they wanted to counteract that because they wanted to keep us in so-called in our place. And here we are, what, 30 years later or whatever, and you can see the effects in the street, man. It's just crazy. I look at it, you run into kids that have their heads on straight, but it's like few and far between because everybody's like following the leader, and the
Sure.
leader is taking them down a road that they don't need to be going.
Sure. Okay, so I want to, if I could do this quick, share my screen. Hold on a second. I'm doing this on the fly. This is a quote from the great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And I think this speaks to exactly what it is we're talking about now. Can you brothers see that right there?
I have my phone, man. It's kind of tiny. I ain't
Okay.
got my on, son.
Okay, no, that's fine. But you see an extra image there, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is the great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. You're both familiar with who she is, correct?
Yeah, I have a picture hanging in my house.
Nice, nice. Okay, so Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, for those that don't know, is a child psychologist, and she was also a doctor of psychiatry. She's a third generation doctor in her family. Her grandfather was a doctor, her father was a doctor, and she was a doctor of psychiatry. She's considered by many to be the queen mother of our culture as it relates to Pan Africanism and Black nationalism in America. She's saying, and this is relating to what we're talking about with the music, she says, we're the only people on this entire planet who have been taught to sing and praise our demeanment. Demeanment comes from the word demean, to diminish, demean. She said, we're the only people on this entire planet who have been taught to sing and praise our demeanment. I'm a bitch. I'm a HOE. I'm a gangster. I'm a thug. I'm a dog. If you train people to demean and degrade themselves, you can oppress them forever. I'm going to say that again. If you can train people to demean and degrade themselves, you can oppress them forever. You can even program to kill themselves, and they won't even understand what happened. Now, brother IJ, I'm going to come to you. What are your thoughts when you hear what the great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing conveyed to us in that message?
Rest in power, Dr. Wilson. Well, she's right and exact. You can't logically argue against what she said. I remember when my first year of teaching in 1997 in the school in the Bronx. I took this Big E verse, and I had just this one verse, and we spent half the class just deconstructing that verse because I was a social studies teacher, right? So to get them to understand how you can get people to hate themselves, one way to do it is to make them think they're ugly and actually associate themselves with ugliness. So in Biggie's verse, he says, "Heartthrob never, black and ugly as ever. However, I stay coochie down to the socks," right? So we just went over that. What does it ask them? What do you think that means? And they got it. They said he's associating his ugliness with being dark complected, being
Mm,
black.
mm,
And furthermore, check this out. The materialism comes in because it's saying, because I dress a certain way, that negates the fact that I'm black and ugly. So my money or my class, I'm good, even though I'm black and ugly. The sister's gonna want me because look how I'm dressed. Don't you see that playing out all over the music, in the clubs, and in the young people? So the language, man, is we couldn't make this point of the language is very important. I remember coming up in Harlem, going by the Allah School in Mecca, where Clarence Thompson X started the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths. And what you heard, how you heard brothers greet each other back then. Peace, God, peace, earth, peace, wisdom, or it trickled down to people who weren't in the Nation of Islam or the 5% Nation. And you heard people saying what? Peace, brother. Peace, sister. And then I remember there was a change. Then I remember the nigga became very heavy.
Oh yeah.
B-I-T-C-H. To hear women, listen, there was a time, I have a queen. She'll tell you she got into fights with dudes that call her the B word.
Mm-mm.
Physical fights.
Mm-mm.
Just for saying, calling her B.
Mm.
Right? That was a time. Now, the sisters say, hey, bitch, how you doing? Hey, bitch, is it?
Yeah, it's
See?
unbelievable.
Yeah, so what she's saying makes sense. And then it's difficult. Lupe Fiasco jumped all over that. He got a joint called Bad B, I think it's called. And the whole song he's basically saying that the sister called herself, I'm a bad B. Her son hears her constantly saying she's a bad B. So the son doesn't
Mm.
know that to be a B is bad.
Right.
So the son is calling girls B's.
Mm.
The mother's getting mad that he's calling the girls B's, right? But the son is basically saying, you said you were bad, so he's confused. So Lupe Fiasco has a whole song getting into that. But yeah, the language, man, is key. And I think I want to say this too. This is not about, no society has any group of people who are perfect in the sense that they don't morally transgress, or they don't, may have a little drink there, smoke their little weed, curse a little bit, do whatever. That's part of being human. We're not asking Africans and New Africans to be perfect. We're asking them to be excellent. We're asking them to be noble. We're asking them to be upright. We're asking them not to go to the lower self, but to seek to be their best selves. What would happen if our language was beautiful and our dress was beautiful and our spirits were beautiful towards each other, and we appreciated ourselves? What might we see in terms of businesses and enterprise and beautiful families that work together and beautiful relationships, and being able to defend ourselves against police who murder us? Would we see a difference? Of course we would. But you're not going to see that if we seeing the worst in each other and it's coming out blatantly in the language.
Now, brother Eric J, go ahead.
There's only one universally accepted racial slur. One. It's nigga.
That's right.
You can't go nowhere and say, hey, double demon, hunky, cracker. The people tell you, oh, don't say cracker. You can't even say faggot. Black people be ready to fight you if you say that, but they won't fight you. You say nigga, nigga, nigga all day. What's that say?
I know.
Exactly.
We're not important. We're not valuable. Our honor doesn't get defended. So yeah, that's something. They ran a good one on us with that.
So go ahead, brother Eric J. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like what he said about nigga. I remember as a teenager, when my friends would come up to me and say, "Yo, what up, my nigga?" I'd be like, "Yo, stop the presses right there." So you don't like that. I said, if a white dude came up to you and said that same phrase, you'd be ready to put up the dukes. And a lot of my friends changed their tone when they came around me. They didn't use that like that with me. And like, well, with Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, she said that so many years ago. And, when people like that speak, it only reaches a select amount of us. It doesn't really reach the masses. That's why I feel as artists, your job is to really get out there and put that message out there. But like I said, with the corporations being involved, they don't want you to come out there speaking like that because they know it'll make a positive impact and make our youth rise and adults too. Because like the I don't know the gentleman that's speaking with you. What's your name?
Brother RJ.
Brother IJ, man. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. What he was saying is well, I just lost my train of thought just getting the names, but you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting. Before Kanye West totally lost his mind, he did do some good music and say some things that were interesting. He had a record called All Falls Down, where Selena Johnson was singing the hook. Really good record. He said, N words by Jordans, crackheads by crack, and the white man gets paid off for all of that. Do you brothers know the radio edit version? They muted the words white man. That's not even a pejorative. And they took it out, but the N word is acceptable. And so I see a lot of people in the chat saying that, they're alluding to the idea that the hidden hand is involved, and this is a deliberate sabotaging of our culture. Do you see it that way, Eric J? We're going to start with you. Do you think this is a deliberate sabotaging of our culture?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because you see the results today. I mean, the music that they push on these kids, I don't even call it music, man, and I don't even call it hip hop because it doesn't stay true to the spirit of hip hop.
Mm.
I mean, just the way the way it sounds, the frequencies that are used in it, and and the language. It's not the spirit of hip hop at all, man. It's just it's definitely designed as brainwash material.
Now, Eric J, I'm glad you said that. The tempo of the music now is about 73 beats per minute every song. What is that doing to the brain, and how does that affect you psychologically? Because you know music, you've produced music, you do up tempo music, down tempo music, but when all the music is that low vibration, that low frequency, and that same tempo, what is that doing?
Well, I've studied sound as well as music, and frequencies affect the body in numerous ways, and low frequencies, they affect like the center of your body, and it brings you down. The sound waves on those low frequencies, when it comes out of the speaker, it's like over 20 feet long, so it goes over your body and through your body. And the higher frequencies, like when you listen to cymbals and stuff coming out of the tweeters, it's a very small wavelength, and it goes right into your ears, into your brain. So they know how to play these frequencies to get you to think in a certain way, and you can't tell me no different.
Got it. Got it. Brother, Ajay, you want to add to that?
Man, what the brother said. Now I can't say I studied sonics, like sound like that. So I definitely defer to my brother's leadership on that and his expertise. But I know as a teacher and a community organizer, I've seen evidence of a different energy coming from the kids, for instance, a different spirit. And that's from not just the music, that's from the news reports, that's from the movie themes, that's from a whole lot of messaging that's going on in our community. But the music obviously is the most popular with the kids. But using the analogy again, if I was in my house, let's go back to 1981, just getting ready to go to high school. If I came in the house and had my little boom box, and I was playing "Be You Better," better bend over, I'm gonna. My mother and father said, turn that off
Mm.
immediately. No, turn it off. Right? It was a clear. They knew that that's not good. We don't understand what they're talking about. These young people, but that type of language, we're not having that in this house today. Look, today you might have a situation that's played, and the parents either like it too. Who's that? Oh man, that's my joint. Or they're afraid to check it because we've been taught that leadership is supposed to be you just allow stuff, you don't rock the boat. No, leadership sometimes has to come with a sword, man.
Mm. Absolutely. So
He said in the Bible, Jesus said, I haven't come with peace, I come with a sword. Because some of what y'all doing got to go. Period.
Yeah,
So it's different today.
go ahead, brother Eric J. Go ahead.
like you were saying as well. Like when we came up, certain things were not played for us because my parents would not play certain music and comedy albums in my presence. If they did, they're like, "You kids got to go to bed. Y'all can't hear this. This is adult time." That line has been erased. And I seen that in the 90s, riding around with my friends in the car, and they would have their little kids in the car. And I'm like, yo, why are you playing NWA? This guy is like 3 years old. He don't need that. And my friends just like, yo, man, I'm like, I wouldn't do it for my children.
Understood.
And then getting mad when they gangbang. See, here's the flip side of it is, if you're going to do that, be a man and woman, you make a decision, live with the outcome of the decision. When the
Exactly.
kids come up, hey, bitch, hole, selling crack, shooting people, stabbing people, messing up in school, accept it.
Because that's the world you
Why?
live.
Because you help cultivate it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Right?
Now
Can't have it both ways.
last week, I did played some music. So it was some song reviews to some extent. I did the first 5 years of rap music. I didn't even get into the late 80s. I was still up to 1984. So I didn't even get that far as it relates to my, just covering the whole history of conscious rap on record. In 1984, of course, the movie Beat Street comes out in theaters, and it was a huge hit. And the soundtrack to Beat Street had a song called Beat Street Breakdown, which was Melly Mel. It says Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, Melly Mel, and so forth. I want to play this last verse because I thought this was absolutely amazing. And this is 30 years ago. In this verse, and this is when we had conscious rap. This is the rap we came up with. In this verse, he talks about man's inhumanity to man, which is something that nobody seems to talk about. He talks about the threat of nuclear warfare. He talks about how the mineral wealth of Africa is being stripped from the land by Arabs, Europeans, and whomever else. And that the children that live in Africa got all the wealth that the world needs under their feet, but they're living in poverty. And then he says something that really blew me away. He said, don't be a slave to no computer. Now, Brother Eric J and Brother AJ, you can't go anywhere outside of your house right now without seeing somebody walking with their head down, staring into a cell phone, becoming a slave to the computer. We're going to listen to this verse and we'll come back and talk about this. All right, so I didn't share my screen. Just bear with me if you would. I know everybody's waiting for the song to start, right? Okay, so here we go. Sorry about that. Are y'all still with me?
Yes, sir.
Newspaper, birds in the sand, and the headlines say, man destroys man. Extra, extra, read all the bad news on the war of peace that everybody would lose. The rise and fall, the last great empire, the sound of the whole world caught on fire. The ruthless struggle, the desperate gamble, the game that left the whole world in shambles. The cheats, the lies, the alibis, and the foolish attempt to conquer the skies. Lost in space, and what is it worth? The president just forgot about Earth, spending all-time billions, and maybe even trillions. The cost of weapons ran into zillions. There's gold in the street, and there's diamond under feet, and the children in Africa don't even eat. Flies on the faces, they're living like mice, and the houses even make the ghetto look nice. The water tastes funny, it's forever too sunny, and they work all month and don't make no money. A fight for power, a nuclear shower, of people shout out in the darkest hour. The sight unseen, and voices unheard, and finally the bomb gets the last word. Christian killed Muslims, and German killed Jews, and everybody's bodies are used and abused. Minds are poisoned, and souls are polluted. Superiority complex is deep-rooted. Allegiance and license, and people got prices. Egomaniac controls the self-righteous. Nothing is sacred, and nothing is pure. So the revelation of death is our cure. Hitler and Caesar, Custody and Reagan, Napoleon, Castro, Mussolini, and Reagan. Genghis Khan and the Shah of Iran. Men through the blood of the weaker man. The people's in terror, the leaders made the error, and now they can't even look in the mirror. Cause we gotta suffer, while things get rougher, and that's the reason why we got to get tougher. To learn from the past and work for the future, and don't be a slave to no computer. Cause the children of man inherit the land, and the future of the world is in your hands. You just throw your hands in the air.
All right, so we're gonna stop it right there. Brother Eric J, I want to come to you first. What comes to your mind when you hear that verse? This is 30 years ago. What are you thinking as you're listening to that now?
Well, I think, that ain't nothing but the truth in my opinion. Because the era I came from, most guys that grabbed the microphone were speaking on that level anyway. So you know
Mm.
what Mel did, that's just what Mel does. You know, but you know, you couldn't. You know, I don't think you can have a record out like that these days. You know, with it would be an underground record, and you know, a lot of people would probably get hip to it, but you know, it couldn't be out there on a mass level like this garbage that's out here, man.
Mm. Mm.
But they pushed it. The needle has been pushed so far to the wrong side of the scale, man. You know, it's going to take a lot of work to bring them back. To tell you the truth, you know, my because you know when you know I'm around youngsters too, and they know what I do, and they know the era I come from, and you know we've done different things when we made appearances, and there'll be kids outside, and they'll hear the music coming through the door and be like, "Yo, y'all can come in, it's free," and they be like, "Nah, that's not our cup of tea," and they
Wow.
just they don't get it.
Yeah. Now, I stand corrected. I said that was 30 years ago. That's actually 40 years ago. It was
Yeah, no
1984.
doubt.
Yeah. So now, brother Eric J, I'm sorry, brother AJ, I know you have some thoughts on that, especially the part where he talks about don't be a slave to no computer. What is your reaction to that verse? Listening to that 40 years later.
Melly Mel, listen, back in the day, I know in my neighborhood, in the Sugar Hill section of Harlem, we was idolizing Mo D. We was idolizing Melly Mel. We was idolizing Grandmaster Caz. No doubt. Wordsmiths. Brother said it correct. That's just what Mel always did. I mean, he gave us the message. I mean, um, there's not a whole lot to add to that, but I will say when he says don't be a slave to computers, my boy just gave me a book. I just read the book, did a video. This white woman was a school teacher, right? And she was saying, damn, teaching the kids to read, and I'm having such a hard time. What's happening? Where's the disconnect? So she went and got a whole nother college degree having to do with the brain and how the brain responds to reading and all this. So her studies show that those of us at our ages, we grew up in an analog world,
Yes,
and
indeed.
then digital came, so that we're able to do all that. We can read deeply, we can concentrate, we got patience, da da da. She said the kids is coming up with all they know is these phones and these laptops and tablets. She said when you read deeply, it develops patience. Check this out. As you read about other cultures and people and characters, it develops empathy. Check this out. As you're getting these deep words and got to look them up and all this stuff, it's critical thinking. She said when you're on the screen 80% of your life, it changes your actual, I don't need people to hear me, your actual brain changes. And its ability to think critically. Why they do that? What happened if we do this? Why shouldn't we do this? Out the window. Your ability to be patient and relax and concentrate, out the window. Your ability to empathize with other people, out the window. So is so it's so what he said, and I'm sure he didn't have all that science and that know-how back then, but he understood that, if you get addicted to anything, most cases it's not going to be a good result. And so that's why you could be in a deep conversation and you'll notice that if you're 30, well, let's say 40 somethings and up are talking, and there's some 20 somethings and down, your conversation, what you're talking about, is going to be markedly different from the youngins. So you might be talking about what was the effect of Quincy Jones's his production and his musicality on black music, and y'all be talking on that vibration. They'll come be like, "Who's Quincy Jones?" Oh, Quincy Jones. Yeah, yeah. That's the factual stuff, but that ain't adding to the conversation. It's the difference between elementary school and graduate school. It's the difference between 2 + 2 is 4 and quantum physics. It's like, no, we're not. Anybody could get the data. We're doing analysis now. And that's where the addiction to the computers affects the ability to make analytical and critical comments. And how can you run government, right? Develop organizations, answer problems in the community, resolve conflicts if you can't do those things. So that's a very serious thing you hit on.
Yeah, absolutely. I talked last week about the downturn in rap beginning around 1987 with the advent of KRS-One Boogie Down Production, Criminal Minded.
You hit
Brother
the
Eric J, I see you nodding your head, Eric J. I would like to get you up here. I'm gonna start with you. Do you agree with that? That this was the beginning of the downturn in rap music?
you hit the nail on the head because I listened to your previous show, and when you brought up that point, I started reflecting, and you were 100% on point because nobody had an album with people posing with guns and all of that stuff before that. You know, they brought that into the lexicon, and that really hurt. And you know, I looked at KRS-One in a whole nother light. Like the guy that to me now, I look at him as a fraud because you know you're talking about you're a teacher and all of this, but yet you kicked in the door with a pistol. You know, come on, man.
Yeah.
And you know, all these years later, and of all these groups following behind that and taking and putting their take on the pistol and weapons and using a gun against your own people. That's the thing that really screwed us. Because if we were out there talking revolutionary stuff, using a pistol to stop the oppressors, we'd be sitting in a whole nother position right now.
That's right. That's right. So Brother AJ, what are your thoughts on that idea that KRS-One Boogie Down Production and Criminal Minded was the beginning of the downturn in rap?
First of all, man, I'm still marinating on what the brother just dropped. That last with that brother, if y'all listening, I really need y'all to marinate on that last joint he just dropped. That's real talk. Is the gun and how we using it, and that's real deep. Yo, when I heard that, bro, I was like, yo, I can't wait to call you. And I think I told you that was brilliant. I completely missed it. Like I never thought of that until you raised it. I was like, wow, that's true. I remember, and my first thought was, well, I think he was trying to be like Malcolm, looking out the window.
Now, that was the second album. That was the second album.
Second album.
Yeah, the first one was him posing with Scott LaRock, Criminal Minded.
Ah, see, I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that you picked that up is brilliant. And I don't know if I'm gonna take nothing from KRS, but I am gonna say it did make me say, damn, but he's the brother that's, you know, like the brother just said, he's kind of talking about righteousness and being upright and, you know, justice and all this. And it seemed like he kind of opened a portal to evil, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And it's kind of contradictory.
Yeah, because he came out with Criminal Minded, which was the first album, and that title alone is problematic. And then in that same time frame, Public Enemy now is on the scene, and they're starting to make moves, putting consciousness in the music. X-Clan was hot. And so I feel like KRS-One was really just a bandwagon jumper here. He come with the next album. Now all of a sudden, you a conscious rapper posing like Malcolm X. Eric J, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, I can't take away from him skill-wise and showmanship and all of that. But what are you saying, brother? You know, come on. You know, like you just said, he comes in on the criminal-minded tip and jumped on the bandwagon of the consciousness tip. And you know, he could have did a lot more. But you know, guys out here want to get paid. And they'll say anything to get paid. Because I've heard rappers say stuff on wax, and it's like, wow, where did you get that from? I mean, who even thinks like that? But you trying to do stuff for shock value and things of that nature, and it's like you don't realize once you put it out there, it's going to come back, and it comes back in ways that we don't want.
I'm glad you said that because Havoc from Mobb Deep did a lot of negative rap, you know, that I'm going to kill me an N-word rap, right? At some point, Havoc allegedly gets consciousness, and his last couple of albums before he transitioned, last two albums, were conscious albums, or he's trying to convey some consciousness in his music. And so people point to that, and I say the damage he did with Mobb Deep and all the negative rap is going to be more impactful than any positive rap that he tried to do because it's on record. You can't take it back once it's out there. It's on record. It's like, and they use the right word for it. There is a record of this. You know, it's like a paper trail. There's a record. So Havoc can't take back all the negative rap. that help to facilitate violence in the street by trying to talk about secret society and something about a conspiracy. It's not, it can't fix the damage that he did. So now I want to play this. This is from 1984. This is the sort of rap that we came up on. I want to play this and see if we can jog both of your memories here with a classic.
Three cards in my hand, one red, two black. You know, red is making money, black you make nothing back. You took a try, and now I'm sorry. You lost all your money and three cards, Molly. $1 in your pocket, and now you're broke. But you're dying from hunger, and you need a smoke. You played a 3 to win 8 to 1. You lost your only dollar, now you have none. It might sound sad or might sound funny, but that's what people do for money. Put 40 hours in at a minimum wage. Friday's here and you get paid. You played some dice and now you're paying the price. You got to tell a story to your wife. $50 sneakers and you got no job. Tell me how you do it when times are hard. You robbed the bank and made big cash. But tell me how long does that life last? It might sound bad or might sound funny, but that's what people do for money.
All right, I'm gonna stop there. I see you both laughing.
I got that record in my crates right now.
That's funny, brother Ajay. I'm gonna start with you.
If it wasn't so sad, it would be that. I mean, what do you say? $50 sneakers, whatever, and you got no job. Oh man.
Now, what's funny with that? Before you start, what's funny with that is like the music now is going so hard promoting materialism. Here we have rap that was discouraging flossing, but you broke. Like $50 sneakers and you got no job. I thought that was funny, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. I was talking to my lady a while ago. I was saying one of the differences in the nature of relationships, not romantic, just like friendly type relationships, parent, children relationships, is that they used to be based in love and support and empathy, and now they're becoming transactional. And by that, I mean, people are like, yeah, I could do that. What do I get? You want me to take the gun? What do I get for that? And to the degree that you can help me is the degree to which you're valuable. If you can't help me in a material way, then people almost look at you like you're not important. So what this opens the door to is absolute creeps, pedophiles, people of the worst caliber. They got money though, huh? So they lure people in. P. Diddy, for example, that's what it's showing you, that people's transactional nature, right? They're looking for, what can you do? He can do this for me, so I'm gonna go to the party with 1,000 bottles of oil and the locks on the door, and my security can't come in. Yeah, what? And that speaks to the song. What will you do for money? So to me, it's spirit. There's a spiritual piece in this, man, that doesn't get addressed with hip hop. I don't know why, but it's a spiritual piece about change these transactional relationships, man. Stop judging people on what they could do for you.
Yeah.
And start looking at the person they are.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eric J. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's really coming from the top down. I mean, look at the guy who's running for president. His whole platform is, what can you do for me? Now, not being a civil servant, how can I serve the people that put me here? No, what can you do for me? So it's coming from the top down, and and everybody's following suit, because once that, like I said, gets out in the lexicon, everybody wants to follow the leader.
Now, brother Eric J, $50 sneakers and you got no job. Tell me how you do it when times are hard. What is your reaction to that 40 years later?
Well, I remember them days. $50 sneakers, man. If you had $50 sneakers on your feet, you was doing something, you know, because our parents wasn't buying us $50 sneakers. I can recall when Pro Kids first came out, they wasn't nothing but $15. And I asked my mother, I said, Mom, could I get some Pro Kids? She was like, no, you're gonna get some Converse, like the ones on your feet right now. And I wasn't able to step up my sneaker game until I started working. So that gave me the drive to go out there and do for myself.
That's
you know,
right.
but you know, nowadays everybody's like, you know, this is a nation of spoiled people, man. Everybody wants everything right then and there. Press this button, whatever, to get what I gotta have it right now. I gotta have it right now. And yo, man, we in a bad way. Like I said, the mindset has to change.
Yeah. Brother Ajay, you want to add to that?
Man, oh man, these are things I talk about all the time. And if anyone was around me, they would be like, "Oh, here you go, yeah." Because this is stuff I'm always talking about. But that transactional relationship is going to come back and bite us, family, because that means there was a scene in Godfather. Michael Corleone is in Cuba, right, to do a business deal, and he's in the car, and he knows there's above him. A guy comes in the car and blows himself up to kill the people in the car. And he goes, "Whoa!" So the guy says, "What's up, Mike?" And he says, "This is dangerous." He said, "Why?" He's just a bunch of soldiers. Said, "No, they're doing." He said they have people that would do this out of allegiance to a principle, not just because they're getting paid. So what
Exactly.
happens if you understand how powerful that is? Like, I'm doing this for the revolution. I may not be getting no money versus the government's army where they're getting paid. So if your whole worldview is you gotta get something material to do something beautiful, then you're not going to get very far because you won't always get money. You know, truth, beauty, and justice don't always come with money. They
Yeah, that
come with
idea.
liberation and relaxation and safety and security. So the music is playing a role in that with the brothers in the video with the telephones of money in their ear. They
Right.
pose it with, I mean, the stacks of money and the bags of money. Like,
And,
okay, what? What
and,
does
you
that
know,
mean, really?
and most of these videos, you should see these clowns posing with all of this cars and phones and cash. It's all rented. You know, it's like an episode of the Monsters when Eddie wanted to go see that guy Zombo. And his pops took him down to the TV station. He's like, "Yo, man, this whole set is fake. He's wearing makeup and this and that," and exposed them on camera. You know, we need to expose a lot of people out here, man.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. Absolutely.
A rap group did that. Was it Slum Village? They had a video and they were showing the dude with all the jewelry, and it had a thing. This is fake. Do y'all remember that video?
Yes. I believe that was Slum Village.
Yeah.
I was corrected again by D Malley from Cali. He said Prodigy. He or she, I don't know who D Malley is, but Prodigy of Mobb Deep. I believe I said Havoc. So I want to thank D Malley from Cali for correcting me yet again. That's not my kind of rap music. Is not my world. Now I want to play another snippet of another joint. Do you both remember the Disco 4?
Of course.
Okay, so this is from a record called School Beats. This is 1983. This is some of the messages that we had in our music back in 1983. It wasn't the debauchery that we see now. Listen to this.
That's right, you're here to learn. Grab a pen and book and get concerned. Don't put your parents through no frustration. Just please them, get a good education. Soak up, yeah, all that knowledge. Become a brainiac. Go to college. Don't get mad. Don't bug out. Don't get crazy. Don't drop out. I know your teacher might be on your back, but they only do this to keep you intact. The teacher must keep things in control and not there to deal with your fly roll. One or two jokers in the class, but gym is the only class they pass. They might be walking down the street one day looking like a bum. Need some new clothes, want to get some. Go downtown and they start to scramble, but that's not enough when they start to gamble. 7, 11, you win or lose, that's the way it goes. If you go by the rules, but you get in the game, you lose your shirt, you feel messed up and you feel like dirt. And now you're walking down the block, say starving Marvin. You're looking at the store, you think about robbing. Let me tell you, people, just hold your head, or in the jail cell will be your bed. Inflation of the nation don't bother me or me. I'm Mr. Troy and I'm Great G. So go to school and don't front. A good education is what you want. What you gonna do? Who you gonna blame when you find out your diploma never came?
I'll stop that there. I see Brother Eric J is bobbing to that one. You remember that.
Yeah,
Jay, we're gonna come to you second because you got involved in the field of education. But Brother Eric J, go ahead.
I remember that record because that's one of the records Pete used to bring by when he used to come by to practice.
Oh, okay. So just so RJ understands that in context, Brother Eric J taught Pete Rock how to DJ because he lived in Mount Vernon. Pete Rock was a little younger, so he kind of helped to bring him along. Yeah. So we're talking to someone here that's a legend. He's not a lightweight. He's really that dude. And Brother Eric J, Brother RJ was involved with hip hop as a teenager, as a younger person. He went to school with Fat Man Scoop, who we just lost recently. We want to shout out to him. He went to school with Diamond D. So you both have been involved and around the culture for a long time. So I just want to put that into context. But Eric J, you want to finish up on that piece about education?
Yeah, that's a great record, man. And you know, I can't stress education enough to the youngins, you know, especially reading, you know, because there's so much written in books that you could whatever you're looking for, there's a book on it, and it'll take you deeper than any computer can, because you know, the computer's just going to give you like surface stuff. But if you read a book, somebody's giving you their personal knowledge from their personal experience, and they can go into more detail. So you know, I've always stressed education. I do a lot of reading myself. I'm sitting in a room right now that's surrounded with books, you know, and it disappoints me. Like younger cats, like my man was just saying about the disconnect between reading and a lot of the youth. Because I have a stepson who I was trying to teach how to play the bass, and to help him along with playing the bass, I said, "Here's a book on how to read music," and I gave it to him. He said, "I don't read books," and I'm like, "What? You only gonna go but so far if you don't read."
That's true. So now, Brother Ajay, you went to school and got a degree to educate in the classroom. What is your reaction now, 40 years later, to the Disco 4 doing a record called School Beats, encouraging children to stay in school and get an education?
I mean, that is my recollection of what we were rhyming about when we was coming up. Our rhymes was about stuff like, you know, we thought we was cute and we had the cutest girl, and you know, I played football. I run over you. This guy played ball. You know, it was like bragging, but it wasn't bragging about anything particularly negative. And then it had the conscious element too. Education is important. You know, stay in school. Make sure you're reading. And then I was the God body was really strong. And we gotta bring up Brand Nubian, Poor Righteous Teachers, all these people, man. We talk about conscious rap. You can't forget them because Brand Nubian made a Wake Up. I play that song twice a day, every day to this day. They breaking down drugs in the community. That ain't right. Can't even get a job. That ain't right. Poison our babies. That ain't right. And lying who is God. That ain't right. I mean, they lay it all out. It's the lessons, but they putting the lessons in a song. But also that video had the white man portrayed as the devil, and they
Right.
banned it. And we need to understand that.
That's correct.
They understand that images are powerful.
Yes.
So they wasn't going to let the white man be portrayed in a video as the devil.
I'm glad you said that.
But they'll allow us to have ourselves portrayed, depicted in all types of crazy ways.
Yeah, this is part 2. I'm gonna do probably a 4-part series. I'm still up to 1984. We didn't even get to 85 yet.
Wow.
Yes. I'm trying to do this in some kind of a chronological order. Eric J, go ahead. You look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one other brother that is a very good conscious rapper for y'all to listen to is Lakim Shabazz.
Oh, I was coming to him. That's next. That's in part 3 probably. But yeah, definitely. Black is Back. That's still one of my favorite records to this day.
Oh, no doubt. That's a classic, man. That's a classic.
Yeah, when I heard that 45 King, that made me want to start making beats and looping samples. Like that song really blew me away. So we're gonna come to that. That's probably gonna be part 3.
Yeah,
Um,
with that song, I went with WizKid to the same studio they recorded that album, and when I seen that record hanging on the wall, I bought like maybe 10 different groups there to record. Man, I was like, I want this same sound, man.
yes, I get it. I get it. Okay. So we went up to 1984. Now 85, Public Enemy begins to step on the scene. And you brothers don't mind going over a couple minutes, right? 10, 15 minutes?
No, I'm
Okay.
cool.
Okay, so Public Enemy begins to step on the scene, but they're not there yet. Public Enemy gets signed to Def Jam Records by Rick Rubin, of all people. Not sure how he had this vision to see down the road that Public Enemy could potentially become what it came. I can recall as a teenager living in Long Island, I used to listen to a show coming out of Hofstra University had a radio station called WRHU. And every Saturday night, they had a show it was called P5, the Post-Punk Progressive Pop Party. And the host of the show played a demo tape by this group called Public Enemy. And this was around 1985. This is around the time they're getting signed to Def Jam Records. The thing that jammed them up in the beginning, now we're talking about Disco 4 School Beats and some of these records from 80, 84. Public Enemy actually recorded their first album in 1985. Now in 85, and I'm sure you both know, and Eric J and Brother IJ, you would know about it well. 1985, Kool Moe Dee did a record called Turn It Up on Sugar Hill Records. Sugar Hill Records is beginning to fizzle at this point, right? And so, and I'm saying that because he's from Harlem. So he does a record called Turn It Up. It was a little bit of a hot record that summer or that year. It's 1985. Bad Boys featuring K-Love does the first Inspector Gadget joint. And then in that same year, 1985, Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick did a record that changed rap for good. That was called The Show. So I'm saying that just to put it in context. Public Enemy's first album was recorded that year. Rick Rubin, for whatever reason, shelved that album. So now you got 86, Eric B. and Rakim come out. No Tricks in 86, it's time to build. Rap now starting to go another direction. So now 86 plays out. 87 comes around. Rick Rubin finally puts out that Public Enemy album from almost 2 years previous. It didn't make a splash at all. In fact, that was the lowest selling record on the history of Def Jam Records. And Public Enemy almost got dropped because the album did so poorly until they came back with their second album, which they weren't holding back. And they really changed the game. So I'm just saying that because 1985 was that year when that album was recorded. And I think if Public Enemy came out in 85 when the album was done, the beginning of their career, they would not have sputtered the way they did. Either way, 1986 rolls around. And here comes Rakim on the Blind Dance. Salute to Rakim. And he's now beginning to add a layer to Black consciousness in rap. Because Black consciousness in rap up to this point, it was basically the promotion of Pan-Africanism and especially Black nationalism on the heels of the Black Power movement. So in 86, Rakim comes out with My Melody, and I'm going to just play a very short piece of this because I don't really have to go that far before I begin to start the conversation.
Turn up the bass, check out my melody, hand out a cigar. I'm letting knowledge be born, and my name's the R. AKA I am not like the rest of them, I'm not on the list. That's what I'm saying, I drop lines like a scientist.
Okay, stop right there. I don't have to go any further. Rakim is now beginning to add another layer by quoting 120 lessons of the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths in his lyrics. That was revolutionary. Before Rakim, nobody had even thought to do that. So he said, I'm letting knowledge be born. I'm dropping science like a scientist. At the time, I didn't understand that. I understand it all now. But Brother Ajay, we're going to begin with you coming out of Harlem. What was the impact of Rakim's music and his quoting 120 lessons in his lyrics like he did back in 86?
Man, it was like a nuclear bomb drop when that joint came out.
Yes, sir.
Whole dance moves were created around Rakim songs, man. The WAP in Harlem, you know, a lot. It was powerful, and it was also like he blended the knowledge itself with the street kind of. He had a street savvy and swag about him. So Got a lot of clothes from Dapper Dan up in Harlem. Used to make the customized clothes. So yeah, but it was this idea like that the God body has to. There's somebody got to really do the research on their strong influence on hip hop. It's ridiculous, you know. I'm looking at him, Big Daddy Kane. I just always thank God that I came up when I came up. The music that we had, I'm sure y'all will agree, was so rich, man, and it was balanced. You had Fuji Rap gave you some of that street kind of drug violent culture, but you had such balance that not one didn't outweigh the other. You could hear him, you go right to Rakim, you go right to Big Daddy Kane, you go right to Poor Righteous Teachers. So there was a balance that I think is lacking today. But I remember when that dropped, he used his natural voice. He wasn't going, yeah, and you don't stop.
Right.
He used his natural conversational. It was like a whole new world had opened up, man, when he dropped.
And it did. And it did. Brother Eric J, 86, Rakim is beginning to speak in his cryptic way, quoting 120 lessons in his lyrics. What can you tell us about what you remember from that time period in that record?
I remember hearing it for the first time, riding in my man's car, and we was checking it out. We liked the record. Wasn't, to me, it wasn't one of my favorites because I'm more of I would say like a dance driven person. I know what Rakim was doing. I appreciated what he was doing, but Rakim, to me, he's one of the greatest MCs. And check out my melody. I love the production on it. I know what my man's saying from Harlem, but it didn't grab me like that. Everybody's got their own flavors. That particular joint didn't grab me like that. That's what I'm saying. Lakim Shabazz more grabbed me than Rakim did.
Really? Okay, because I like down tempo, I like up tempo. When I heard Rakim for the first time, I was completely blown away. Like, you knew, for me, when I heard Rakim, that this was a new direction in rap. It's almost like hearing sucker MCs for the first time. And when you hear those big drums, you know this is a turning point in rap. When Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick did the show, that was so monumental and so different. You knew that was a turning point in rap. The following year in 86, first time I heard Eric B. and Rakim, I knew that rap was going to go in a new direction. And maybe one day I'll do something on those records that had such an impact that it changed the genre for good. Rakim was one of those records. But go ahead, Brother Ajay.
I wanted to say that somebody put in the hold on one second. Somebody put in the chat about Slick Rick, man.
Yes.
Slick Rick wasn't Mr. Pro Black and all that, but that children's story and Hey Young World, he was dropping some real wholesome stuff in that, man.
Yes, he was.
He's talking about don't be a dumb dummy and be a bummy and disrespect your mommy. And he's talking about staying in school, being cool, respecting your parents, that type of messaging. And it wasn't corny,
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't like a parents just don't understand type of thing. It was more so yeah, there's a lot of people that kind of, I think, brought some something to the game, although they may have hit it from a different angle, so to speak. But yeah, Slick Rick dropped a few jewels, man, that you could play for your or what Nas would later do with I Know I Can, kind of like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that line,
Absolutely, yeah. And we mentioned Slick Rick. We have to give a rest and power shout out to Clark Kent. Clark Kent did the bulk of that first Slick Rick album. But yeah, Slick Rick, and this is again, now it's 88 when Slick Rick comes out with Hey Young World and Children's Story. So you had your KRS-One with the, promoting the criminal minded and the rap is starting to go in a violent direction. But at the same time, you still had the balance of a Slick Rick, Stetsasonic, Heavy D. It wasn't all this violent rap. It was definitely still a balance. Now,
don't forget, brother. I'm sorry. Don't forget. You must learn.
Yeah, no.
That joint was a bomb in the hood.
Absolutely. I
mean, he dropped, man, the history he dropped. That's something that, like, if you had an uncle that was in the Black Power movement, or dad or mom, they could play that for you, man. Check this out, and then y'all can have a discussion. That was real. That You Must Learn was hot.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Definitely.
So we had, and shout out to D Malley from Cali again. We had Sam's son in the chat last week. He mentioned that we were on the heels of the anniversary of the 29th anniversary of the Million Man March, which was 1996. Either way, James Lance Taylor, who's a political science professor out there in the state of California, he said if it wasn't for Chuck D, Public Enemy, and all the conscious rap we had in the late 80s going into the 90s, the Million Man March probably would not have had the turnout that it had. I see, Brother AJ, you nodding your head. What are your thoughts on that idea?
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
The rap music was a backdoor way.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
Absolutely right. Because Farrakhan was important. I remember being in college and we went from Syracuse, we go to Lemoyne, we go to all these different colleges in New York State. We know Farrakhan's coming, we be there. But he connected with us because some of what he was dropping, the 5%, once again, was bringing to the young people who weren't in the mosque. So we were primed for that type of message, what Farrakhan was talking about.
Absolutely.
We're primed for that.
Now, as it relates to Farrakhan, I know I can speak for myself when I say knowledge of self. The interest point for me was Malcolm X. So late 80s, early 90s, we listened to Farrakhan because we really wanted Malcolm. And so I think Farrakhan had that traction because we saw him as the next best thing, not understanding in context some of the negative that he said or possibly was involved in around Malcolm X. So I'm just saying all of this to say as it relates to the Million Man March and how rap music was a backdoor way of promoting that event, and it would not have had the numbers it had if it wasn't for rap music. The power of this music. I think we understand the power of the music. I think the hidden hand that's given us all the negativity and the negative rap music, they understand the power in this music. And so it seems the music has been weaponized against us. What are your thoughts on that? Brother Eric J., let's start with you.
Well, let me say one thing real quick about the Million Man March. Hip hop had played a very big role in the Million Man March about getting the word out in the street for everybody to come to DC. And I remember most of the guys that I was working with musically went, and I stayed. And everybody's like, "What? Why didn't you go?" And I said, "Yeah, I went to work that day, and I told the white folks somebody got to be here, keep an eye on y'all." And they was,
that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Repeat the question for me one more time, please.
Oh yeah. So the impact that the music has on our behavior, our consciousness, and the importance of it, and the fact that they've weaponized the music against us because they know the power in it.
Right. Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about the corporations being involved in it, because they won't put anything out that will uplift our people. They want they want to keep us buying garbage, and they see the music as another tool to sell stuff and inject ideas into people's brain. And you listen to these groups that are out here, Sexy Red and all this other stuff, man. There's nothing positive that can come out of that when you play it for children. I mean, it's like I said earlier too. Our parents wouldn't play certain things for us, but we're in a point in history where everything gets played for everybody. And even if you don't want to play it for your children, they still can get access to it when you're not around and you're not paying attention.
That's true. Brother AJ, right. Go ahead. You about to say something?
I was just going to say that we also have to talk about, sometimes our enemy, in an indirect way, through his maliciousness toward us, can inspire great beauty. So the 80s was Ronald Reagan's decade as president. And for those of you who don't know, Ronald Reagan was continuing this whole war on drugs, peace against black. It was really a war against black and Latino people.
Exactly.
Locking people up. Nixon's aide actually said that in the paper. He said we couldn't say nigger and spit no more. So we had to come with a new language. The new language was drug addicts. and we would make drug addicts, we would associate them with Black and Latino people. He said that. Also, with Reagan, he took money away from social programs, from community centers, from public libraries. I used to be able to walk down my block, go to Drew Hamilton Projects, to the community center, and pay $2, and we heard Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh, just about everybody. My man named Eminon, he did beatbox too. A bunch of people for $2, just go, or $1, go right to the community center. Kept us out of trouble. Heard good music, and they had talent shows. All that was taken. Um, this portrayal of Black people as being hyper violent, hyper criminal, Black women being welfare cheats and crack holes, right, comes out in the 80s under his administration, and it was great anti-Black police violence. I went to Eleanor Bumpurs was killed, Michael Griffin, Michael Stewart. If it wasn't the white police, it was actually white citizens that weren't even police jumping and killing Black people. So a lot of oppression was going on in the 80s. And when you push people down, they tend to produce art, man, that is very creative and very powerful. So I think that dynamic added to some of this beautiful music we got out of it.
See, and that's a good point there, because we're at a point in time now where that stuff goes on, is basically magnified now. And the thing is, nobody's really standing up against it because they focus on BS. You know, come on. I mean, be honest, that sister that was killed in her bed, cops kick in the door, just start blasting. She's butt naked in the bed. She gets killed. And they try to blame, oh, we thought her boyfriend was receiving drugs here, so we had to come in. And, you know, citizens committing murder against our people. Trayvon Martin, for example. This kid, Kyle Rittenhouse, with the AK-47 or whatever he was carrying, going to a Black Lives Matter protesting, really wanting to kill Black people. But when the brothers seen him, they was like, yo, man, get this punk out of here. He was too scared to step to them, so he went and shot some white people. You know, and this the environment we're growing up, we're living in now. And the thing with our music, getting people into a revolutionary mindset, the corporations have stepped in and killed that. So, you know, you got everybody drinking and smoking and getting high and focusing on garbage, man.
Yeah. When you say citizens engaged in vigilantism against Black people, my mind immediately went to Bernard Getz. I think you have to be a certain age to remember that.
On the 2 train, man. He shot 4 brothers on the 2 train.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But brothers, we're gonna close it out there. This was the History of Conscious Rap Part 2. I want to thank you both for your participation. I'm gonna do Part 3 and, you know, play music, and then probably come back in Part 4 so we can have another discussion like this. If you would both avail time from your schedule to join me, I would definitely look forward to having you again if you could be involved.
Yeah, hit me up, man. You know,
I will.
Whenever.
I will, most definitely. So, Eric J, I want to thank you for joining us. And Brother AJ, I want to thank you for giving us an extra Monday in a month.
No doubt.
We're going to come back next week, and we're going to have the discussion about your latest book, Wu Kusu, Self-Empowerment Workbook. But before we get off, tell people how they can get the book.
Well, if you should see my name on the screen, I think. If you go to Amazon, type in my name, all 6 books will come up. Kusu's the latest book. It'll come right up. Okay. And that's probably the best way. Those people that don't want to go through Amazon would have to hit me up personally, and they could probably hit me up at TRUSELF143 if you want to get it, you know, from me directly. Some people want it signed, you know, or they don't like Amazon, so they want to hit me up directly. So you can do that. Matter of fact, Brother Rollo did that.
Yes, I did. Say the email once again.
TRUSELF143 So it's saying True Self, but True doesn't have an E on the end.
True Self without an E, 146 at Gmail. And I just put your name in the 143. Forgive me. So I just put your name in the chat. If people want to look up Brother AJ Taimba, you can copy paste that and put that in your Google search, and go ahead and get that book. This is book number 6, and the books are quality. Trust me when I say it, because I'm currently reading the leadership book and I'm gonna have to spend some time on the Wukusu book in time for next week's conversation about that book. I want to thank everybody that joined us in the chat. We had a lot of good comments, a lot of good response. D. Malley from Cali had corrected me twice. I had misspoke and made a few errors, so we want to thank D. Malley from Cali and everybody else that joined us in the chat. That's it for us, people. We're gonna say peace. And we look forward to part 3, and part 4 is probably going to be maybe in the month of November. But just continue to watch the Fact Project every Monday, and we'll post updates. And everybody seemed to like your input, Brother Eric J and Brother RJ. So we can have you to come back on part number 4. Yeah, people will definitely be looking forward to that.
All right, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, brother. Brother RJ, thank you for being here as well.
No doubt. My pleasure, man. Y'all
All
take
right.
care.
All right,
pleasure
brother.
meeting you as well over the phone, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. No doubt.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right,
Peace.
Peace.